Now, as you know, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is in Papua New Guinea most of this week. He's been walking the Kokoda Track. He's going to celebrate dawn service on Anzac Day tomorrow morning on the Kokoda Track. Our own reporter Simon Love has caught up with him. Here's the latest.
PMs, how are you feeling on this final leg?
Look, it's just been such an honour to walk with the Prime Minister in his great nation, and it is symbolic of us walking side by side towards the future, whilst also recognising and paying homage to our past.
Yeah.
Look, I know some of you want to hate on Albo for everything, but that is indisputably a good thing for an Australian Prime Minister to be doing, and great that he's going to be there for Anzac Day tomorrow. But it doesn't skate over the problems that are afflicting our Defence Force personnel and our veterans when it comes to morale and when it comes to all sorts of other issues. So let's catch up with Brian Hilbron, who's a veteran himself and an ambassador for the Soldier On organisation that supports current and former Defence Force personnel. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Very pertinent that we talk about these issues on the eve of Anzac Day, because as we've seen from the Royal Commission into Defence and Veteran Suicide, there just hasn't been the care and attention delivered to our veterans and our serving personnel that they need.
Yeah, there's a big spotlight on defence at the moment with the Royal Commission and whatnot. So that's why it's important for organisations like Soldier On to provide their services to help the veterans when they need it the most.
Now, we talk about the personnel crisis in Defence as well. The government's spoken about that. The opposition's been pressuring them on that. They're not recruiting the people they need in the Army, the Air Force or the Navy, and they're not retaining the good people they've got. Now, part of that must go to morale, right? Part of this must go to the way people feel about the Defence Force. And that means that the sorts of work you're doing where people feel that they've been let down, either during their service or afterwards, must play into that morale.
Yeah, definitely. There's more than there's certainly people that feel down after they complete their service and their morale is low. So that's why Soldier On and their support systems are so helpful to support those veterans when they find themselves needing that support once they've left those systems that are established in the Defence Force.
So often people talk about serving their nation through the Defence Forces, and they serve them typically while they're reasonably young. And the theory, at least, has been that you've been looked after in retirement. Why aren't we following through on that? Why does Soldier On have to come in and pick up all the gaps?
Like any big organisation, there are going to be people that sit through the gaps. And while unfortunate, I think a lot of that's been identified through the Royal Commission. So it's a good time for the Defence Force to reflect on the findings from that when they're released and address those issues. But Soldier On's a great stopgap for the current.
Yeah, it's great work that you do. Sorry to cut you off, just a delay there. It's great work that you do filling in those gaps where the Department of Veterans Affairs and other arms of defence don't do what they need to do.